Hello, this is Tom from Nevercenter. I'm going to show you in this video how to take an image that's heavily filtered in its source file. So this is without any CameraBag filters currently applied. There's nothing here. This is just the image as I got it. But how to undo the filtering that is in this image. And where I got this from, there are a couple of great free stock photo websites. One is called Pixabay, one is called Unsplash. I got this one from Unsplash, this guy named Jan Film. There's some great photos here. Unsplash has a ton of great stuff. However, so much of what's on Unsplash is heavily filtered, and they're all filtered, and almost all of them are filtered in this same way that is stylized and nice looking for a lot of circumstances, but you may want to get more close to the original image before they applied these filters and uploaded it. And then you can refilter it with your own style or have it look much more like just a natural photograph that's unfiltered. So we're going to unfilter Unsplash in this. And let me just pull up a couple things. I'll pull up the histogram and our pixel inspector to examine what's going on in this image. And you can see in the histogram right away, one of the things that they've done that's very popular is they've pulled the shadows away from the darker regions. So all the shadows are much lighter than they were in the original photo, sort of a matte look. And then also as I hover over this, I'm going to click on a few values here just to put them in the pixel inspector. You can see in these shadows, they're heavily tinted towards green and blue, particularly blue. So you can see the red, green, and blue values. Blue is about twice what red is, and so that'll give it that green-blue tint. And even in the highlights, which look white to my eye, but as I examine these values, you can see it's a little bit higher in the green and blue also. So to remove that tint, we're going to use our coloring curve. And this can either add color by pulling it up, and this is the color it's referencing. So I can add orange or pull orange out. But orange isn't the color I want to pull out. I want to pull out that green-blue. So I'm just going to eyeball it and select sort of a green-blue kind of hue here. Let's go somewhere between there. It looks like what's in the image. And as I pull this down, it's pulling that color out of the image. And it looks like this is more heavily from our pixel inspector and from my eye that this tint is more heavy in the shadows than it is in the highlights. So that's why I'm pulling it down more on the left side of the graph than on the right. And I can pull it down on the curve, then I can go back and adjust the hue of what I'm pulling out and the amount. I can sort of adjust by controlling the saturation of this color here. And it's hard to get it to look neither red nor green nor blue. So I'm just eyeballing it, and I look up here, and what is in my pixel inspector, it's tracking those pixels that I clicked on. And so as I toggle this off, you can see these pixels were originally 22, 35, 48. Toggle back on, 38, 29, 38. So it's green. It's pulling a little too much green out because the green value is lower than the red and blue in those. And so I would move this away from green, and I'm just tracking these values up here until they're basically equal with each other if I want to turn that into a neutral gray. So even though this looks, to my eye, it looks green tinted, the pixels are actually very close to gray. So we've done an initial coloring correction. Let's get that histogram looking better by taking a tone curve here. And just to pull these shadow values closer to black, I'm just going to drag the lower left-hand corner of this to the right. And so it's basically pulling the shadows down. And then this is quite high contrast. You can see a ton of value in the shadow region, and then there's a spike in the whites. To undo the contrast, you basically add an inverted S-curve to our tone curve. And that will decrease the amount of contrast, so it's not so highly contrasting. And this is not an exact science, it's just sort of use your eye to see what looks good. And now again, I'm going to check to see if these values that I had clicked on in these shadows are neutral. They look quite neutral, actually. I'm just going to inspect. This looks green to me. And as I click on that middle value up there, and this original jacket may be green. I don't know. As I toggle back to the filtered version, you can see it's hard to tell what the original color was in this. And as I hit the slash button to toggle back to with my corrections, we can try. Let's see what it looks like if we pull more green out of the midtones and see if it looks overall natural or if it looks like we're doing something that wasn't originally there. So to pull more color out of it, rather than trying to mess with this curve again, I'm just going to add another coloring curve. And I only want to pull it out of the midtones, so I'm going to select a green in here that looks sort of like that jacket green and pull this out. I guess it's a little bit more shadowy than I'm thinking. There we go. And so you can see, again, I'll click on this value. I've made that much more neutral. The red, green, and blue values are much more equal to each other. And I'll just toggle this off and on just to see if I like that better. And I think I do. I think that's probably much more what the original looked like. So you can see with a couple of coloring curves and that tone curve, again, I'll toggle back. This is the original image as I downloaded it from Unsplash, which was heavily filtered. And then this is what I've recovered basically through adding these adjustments. And it's pretty surprising what colors and detail you can find in there. You look at this image and it looks like you've lost so much of what was there. And it's surprising what you can recover and what you can get back to what the original photo was before it was filtered using these great tools in CameraBag.